Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can tell by the title of the video already, we're going to be discussing last night's performance. Celtic taking on Livingston at the Tony Macaroni Arena for the second time this season, where for the second time this season we've failed to win over in Livingston. A difficult game, it always is every time we go there. That's the third time I've been there personally now, and haven't experienced great entertainment in the sense of a result. Yesterday though, the game itself I did believe was quite entertaining. I think it was a fantastic game to be at. The atmosphere was great. Celtic fans getting right behind the team, dying for that 90th minute equaliser, and then we finally got to it. So the game itself, you know, the performance I think was fantastic from the Celtic teams at points, and we're going to talk about it in the structure of this video. It's something new. If you do like it, let me know, and I'm going to start doing it after every single game. But today we're going to be talking about the 3 things we learned after the Celtic Livingston game last night. Now, it could be a new series. We do 3 things we've learned after every single game. We just talk about 3 talking points rather than just an actual match review. We talk about things that have been put under the spotlight, the big questions, things in particular from said game. If you do like the format of it, let me know and we'll start doing it after every game. Today is purely an experiment because there's no other content to make, and I want to start getting out as much content as possible without making it bad content. So that's why this is a sort of test. So let me know in the comments how you think. Obviously, we extended our gap at the top of the table, 13 points now after Rangers. Well, they had a great result over at Ibrox against Hamilton last night, losing 1-0. So, as Neil Lennon surprisingly put it last night, you've seen his reaction. Hamilton doing us a favour. And, you know, after we drop points, it's helpful that they also drop points. They had the chance to close that gap, they never took it. But we're going to be focusing on our own performance from last night. So, without any more wasting time, let's get into the 3 things that I believe we learned from the game against Livingston last night. Lesson number 1, Rangers are ganting. I'm joking. Like, don't bite at me, Rangers fans. I'm no joking. I'm really. But the first thing I think we learned last night was there's the phone. As I was getting into before, I was rudely interrupted. Lesson number 1: Christopher Julian still fears Lyndon Dykes. Now, I don't know what it is. I don't know what happened. But Julian, the last time we went to the Tony Macaroni, he came out and said how he was feeling a bit nervous. It wasn't like him judging off previous performance, and it certainly wasn't like him going off future performances because he's became one of the best and key players at the club this season. But once again last night there was something about Julian, it wasn't very assuring, and I think it was the battle with Dykes all night long. It's something he just doesn't like about it, and I know a lot of people say that Julian is like that around all of the physical players in the league or around Europe. If a player is really battling him, making it very gritty for him and getting in his face and constantly on his back, then Julian tends to get a little bit unnerved. He seems to be a different sort of player. He doesn't look as confident as what he does when the players are sitting off him a bit more. That's a real example from maybe the Europa League group stage where he was playing against Immobile, but Immobile was one of the best strikers in Europe at the minute, but Julian looked absolutely world class. But yeah, he plays Lyndon Dykes, who plays for Livingston, and if he collapses, he falls apart. So maybe the argument about the physical strikers is true, it's to be believed, and I think last night was a fine example of how that is still something that Julian and the coaching staff need to work on together, because we shouldn't be going. A guy of his stature, a guy of his size and physicality, despite Lyndon Dykes being a big guy, should not be going over and getting bullied off him over the course of a season. You know, maybe once, you know, everybody has an off day, but for it happening a second time, it is disappointing. And all round, I think it affected his performance from start to finish. I didn't think he looked his usual self. His passing was a bit sloppy, he looked a little bit slow on the ball. He just wasn't as reassuring as always. Don't get me wrong, he didn't have a disgraceful game. It could have been far worse. But if you just look at how Lyndon Dykes looked last night again against us, you know, I think he looked like a decent player, and I don't necessarily think he is that much of a good player. But when he gets in Julian's face, you can see the struggle in Christopher. You can really see him not liking it. I needs to work on it. Now, I know it's not something you can just change overnight. You suddenly are up for a big battle and all the rest of it, and you're fighting them all off from every direction. But a guy of his size has got to be doing a lot better. And against a team like Livingston, no disrespect to them, they've been fantastic this season, but you're looking at a £7 million centre-half against a team that isn't even, you know, valued at £7 million altogether. He should be doing a lot better in these games against these sort of players. So, yes, despite Livingston being a fantastic team this season, a physical team and making things difficult for Celtic, you can still see in Julian that he's still got a bit of a, I wouldn't say fear, but he's not favoured playing against, he doesn't like playing against those physical players, and especially Lyndon Dykes. I mean, last night, he could have done a lot more damage if they had more chances in the second half. If we weren't as dominant, ball dominant in the second half, who knows? All it took, it happened once, they played a through ball, Lyndon Dykes was on the end of it, and they could have got a goal from it. Julian needs to watch these kind of guys, not let them win a mental battle, never mind physical battle. I'm sure he will work on it, I'm sure he'll get better, because he's been absolutely phenomenal this season, but something he has to work on. Lesson number 2, Greg Taylor. I think the lesson we've learned here is he's the next one open to a massive, massive, massive line of criticism. I use massive 3 times because over the course of the last couple of games, I feel like Twitter has been giving it Greg Taylor stinking for whatever reason. Now, last night, Greg Taylor was not good at all. There's a reason he was the first player off the park for Celtic, coming off quite early in the second half. He wasn't great. He looked, very shaky. His passing wasn't great. Getting down the line wasn't too well. He was losing, the battle to win the ball. It just wasn't having a great game. And a lot of people think that St Johnstone on Sunday as well, he didn't have a great game. But I don't know if this is just a Kieran Tierney hangover. I feel like every left back who's went on the park this season has been given it absolutely rotten. Ball and Golly, Johnny Hayes, and now Greg Taylor. Now, Ball and Golly, understandably, because despite how I thought he was at the start, looking decent enough, playing well in the Ibrox game against Rangers, it was evident after that he's not quite good enough. Johnny Hayes, I think, is a workhorse, but for some reason gets pelters. I mean, sometimes I think deserved when there's the odd moment, but a lot of the time undeserved. Everybody knows I'm a Johnny Hayes backer. I like Johnny Hayes. But now Greg Taylor, after a couple of dodgy performances, is already getting stinking abuse. Now, a tweet I seen on Sunday was someone saying Greg Taylor, with the muddy shirt, it was like, no, even off the price of washing the shirt, tear up his contract. Now, I think Greg Taylor has been fantastic since coming into the squad in general. Now, he's kind of broke into the team post-winter break. He's played the majority of games now. I think Neil Lennon has shown a little bit more faith in him. And understandably, he's done that. I think the majority of games, maybe the exception of the last 2, he's done a very good job. He's looked solid. I've really liked him, and I think he's been a great addition to the side. I think he's been the perfect role, or the perfect man for that role, on the left-hand side of the 3-5-2. I don't quite understand where the criticism is coming from. Now, maybe he's got stuff to work on from that performance last night. You can see that, but the evident thing is that he is going to be the next one in line for the abuse if he doesn't start playing at least, 7 out of 10s for the next few games, because all it takes is one more bad game and things are going to go from bad to worse, because our support can get right on top of someone sometimes, and I'm not innocent of that. I'm not sitting here like an angel and saying I love every player, because people know my opinions on certain players. Jack Hendry. People know my opinions on Ball and Golly right now, and how I think he should be the third choice left back. But Greg Taylor, I don't think has done anything drastically wrong to be in the situation that he is in social media right now. I still have faith that he should be a starting left back, and I think he will continue to be. I don't think his performances will get worse. I think they'll only get better. But last night, I think there was a bit of an overreaction, and the last 2 games, in fact, a bit of an overreaction to where Greg Taylor currently sits in the pecking order of Celtic defenders. And finally, the last thing to speak about, the last lesson we learned from last night, is Celtic are getting better at playing on plastic surfaces. Now, yes, we didn't win the game, and we were down 2-1 for a large majority of the game. The full second half, basically, they came right out the gates at the beginning of the second half, went up 2-1, and then from there on, it was us with having to throw everything to it, 5th gear the whole half, trying our best to get a goal. And there's things I'd like to talk about from the performance. I think Celtic need to be a bit more urgent, a bit more ambitious. We try too much to walk it into the box. I think there's times where we should just try and get a shot, win a set piece from it. Maybe something will come of it, I don't know. There's times you could see a shot opening and they don't take it to try and walk it into the box. And I get that Celtic's tactic, and it's worked for us all season, but sometimes we left it very late and we got the job done, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I feel like we should take more chances when an opportunity arises. But we're getting better, there's no denying. We went up 1-0 in the first half through a decent goal from Callum McGregor. I think the goalkeeper should have done better, but we've done well. But that full second half performance is probably the best 45 minutes of Celtic football I have seen on a plastic surface in a very long time. I know we won 3-1 at Rugby Park last month or so, and a good performance as well. But yesterday, a place where we have historically struggled over the past couple of seasons, I think that we've done really well in the second half to keep the pressure on for a full 45 minutes and work our way into getting that equalising goal. Plastic parks aren't great. They force you into changing the style of play. You can't play the same type of football. The surface ultimately changes at the speed of the ball and blah blah blah. You can't use it as an excuse all the time for poor results, but we certainly looked better in that 45 of the second half, and we got the result we needed. We got a point at the end. I mean, it would have been nice to get the 3, But it's the best we've ever played at Tony Macaroni, and I think it's a fine example of how we are improving on those plastic surfaces. And that does it then. That's it for the first kind of episode of this 3 Things We've Learned series. If we do make it a series, I don't know if you've liked it. I quite enjoyed doing it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you want me to continue on with it, I think it's got some potential because, you know, 3 minutes of talking about 3 things can be done. So I could get a good bit of content out of that every week. So it's up to you. Let me know what you think. If you think it's a waste of time, then you know what to do. Dislike. Don't do that. Like it. Subscribe. We're nearly at 18,000. We're on the road to 20k, guys. I want to get it by the end of the season somehow. So make sure you share out the video. It would be fantastic if you do. Get as many fans following as possible. Right, I'm going to end the video because I'm having an asthma attack or something. So, aye, see y'all next time.